Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. This week we're joined by reporter Emily Hoeven, political expert for CalMatters.org. Emily, good to see you again on this Sunday morning. So the legislative session wrapped up again, and one of the things that legislators did was block their staffers from unionizing. What was going on there?
Yeah, it was a really interesting turn of events. Obviously, California's Democratic legislature often paints itself as very pro-union, but during a very strange and contentious and complex committee hearing, the committee chair decided that he was not going to even allow debate on a bill to allow legislative's own staff to unionize. Then the staff in the room booed and hissed and walked out. So then he actually reversed himself and allowed debate to happen. But then there weren't enough votes to get the bill to pass. And there was some concern over logistics, and maybe someone raised the idea of just having lawmakers take management classes rather than having workers have to unionize. But there was a lot of anger, and I think that we're going to see a bill next year to try to revive that effort.
Quickly, at the end of the legislative session, Diablo Canyon, interesting. What did you see?
Yeah, so in terms of the climate package, the Diablo Canyon was the biggest part of that. Lawmakers voted to advance that. We did see some concern over the contract that the state's going to have with PG&E, the operator of the plant. They did authorize a loan of up to $1.4 billion to allow PG&E to keep operating the plant if everything goes according to plan. But some lawmakers were concerned about how those costs may or may not be passed on to ratepayers. So I think we're going to hear a lot more about that moving forward. And then the rest of the governor's climate package did advance, except for one bill that would have slashed California's current goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions 40% of 1990 levels by 2030 to 55%. And that bill did not advance, potentially because California is not on track to meet the current 40% reductions goal.
Speaking of the governor, as we are wont to do, he did donate $100,000 to the Democratic candidate for governor of Florida, Charlie Crist, running against Ron DeSantis. Governor Newsom calling DeSantis a bully. Is this going to continue where he's going to be sort of poking bears and tweaking situations?
I think definitely he is. I mean, he's made no secret of the fact that he is not fond of Ron DeSantis or the governor of Florida or the governor of Alabama or the governors of many of the red states in the U.S. Yeah, exactly. And so I think we're going to sort of keep seeing not only these wars of words, but also potentially these wars of money. But what was kind of interesting was that there was a report out just recently that the governor's in-laws, who live in Montana and have actually donated money to Ron DeSantis's super PAC. And so that was kind of an interesting sort of turn of events to have the governor, obviously very vocally opposing DeSantis, but then his in-laws, who have tended to give money to some more conservative politicians to support his PAC.
Yeah, maybe we'll see the governor maybe not visiting Montana and the in-laws as much for Thanksgiving, perhaps. Okay, Emily, thank you. Appreciate you. Cal Matters is a nonpartisan news organization explaining California policies and politics. Find their work at CalMatters.org. You can also sign up for Emily's newsletter there.